There's some exciting news in the Arrowverse, the DC Arrowverse, that a lot of people thought wouldn't last, has really sojourned on for years and years and years, for better or worse. Some people absolutely love it to death still. Some people like us are a little, tired of it.
We've grown apart.
Yeah,
that's all.
Just a little bit.
It was a steady decline.
That said, there's some really neat stuff going on right now.
No doubt about it.
With the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event. It's going to be 5 parts. The first part's in Supergirl. The second's in Batwoman, which kind of looks like a train wreck show already.
Yeah.
The third is in The Flash. The fourth is in Arrow. And the fifth is in DC Legends of Tomorrow.
Very cool.
5 parts. That's really big. And the biggest news to come out of it, not so far, but recently, is that Tom Welling is coming back as Clark Kent.
The guy from Smallville.
Yes, the guy from Smallville.
And Cheaper by the Dozen.
True. They're from Tom Welling of Cheaper by the Dozen acclaim.
That's right.
Now, admittedly, I grew up watching Smallville. I've watched the entire show. You have not. You've seen bits and pieces of it.
Yeah, we were watching clips, actually just before recording, and it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. I think it has a really good story, and by good, I mean by old CW standards. It's soap opera-y and a little cheesy, and it has bad special effects up until, season 7. So up until that point, it's kind of a struggle if you pay attention to the special effects. But this was a lot of people's introduction to the Superman character.
Some of the clips were actually fun to watch too. It wasn't like a complete meme. There was definitely some healthy cringe, and there was some definitely bad effects. However, it was kind of fun to watch, and that's the whole point of it, is to be kind of a fun, enjoyable look into Superman before he was Superman.
Yeah, and it's its own continuity. It built up a lot of things that the comics never did. It had alternate origins for a lot of characters, like Bizarro especially. He's like a phantom from the Phantom Zone in Smallville. They bring Zod in a couple of times to the show. He's like a main antagonist in season 9. They go all over the place with it. It really was criticized because the first 4 seasons of it is just Clark in high school. And
that's it.
There's a lot of cringy stuff because of that time period and just weird stuff going on, but it really found its footing somehow around season 5. I can't believe it lasted that long, but it did. And this was where a lot of people were introduced to Clark Kent. He is the Boy Scout version of the character. It kind of shows how he develops and matures over time into Superman. And I think Tom Welling, even though some of the clips we watched where he's trying to be dramatic, it's a little over dramatic at times, he is a good actor. He developed a lot as an actor over the course of Smallville. This was one of his big, main roles that really started his career. And he really always played a really sincere version of the character. He always seemed like a human being, Clark Kent. And he just seemed like a likable guy. You understood him. It's really the first time they had tried in a long time, probably since the Christopher Reeves Superman, to do a live-action portrayal that was humanized, to make him into a person. And I think Smallville succeeded at that. So this is really exciting for people, I guess like me at least, who grew up watching that show. We don't entirely know how it's going to fit in. It's been hinted at that this is going to be a Clark Kent that's probably between 8 and 10 years later, after the Smallville show. So it's not just cutting from the ending of Smallville to Crisis on Infinite Earths. Time has passed in his own continuity. The co-creator of Arrow, Mark Guggenheim, told Deadline, "For 8 years, Arrow has stood on the shoulders of Smallville. Simply put, there would be no Arrow and no Arrowverse without it. So when we first started talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths, our first, second, and third priorities were getting Tom to reprise his iconic role as Clark Kent. To say that we're thrilled would be a Superman-sized understatement." He didn't laugh. I added the laugh.
Is he even cringy as the show? You know what I mean? Does his cringe travel over to the Arrowverse? Is that what that is?
I don't know. Keeping my own gripes with the Arrowverse, I guess, in line for this video because I do think this is exciting. I think this is kind of the shot in the arm some of these shows need. Not Tom Welling specifically, but the star power that they're bringing in for this crossover. To say hey guys, remember Remember when, like, we used to make these shows? Like, you even have more about this, too, with Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill.
Yeah, well, with Kevin Conroy, it's not really news as much anymore, breaking news, I should say.
It's a little older.
But still, he's going to be playing Bruce Wayne. We did see an article where, I think it was the Hollywood
Heroic Hollywood.
Yeah, where they're like, he's going to suit up as Batman. No, he's probably not. He's just going to be an older Bruce Wayne, which is cool. I think it's a great role for him. He obviously killed it in Batman Beyond. And then Mark Hamill is rumored, it's not confirmed by any means, but it's rumored he's going to be in the show. It's not rumored, it's not obviously confirmed if he's going to be the Joker or if he'll be playing another role. His role isn't defined yet, but having both of those guys show up in a live action role is really cool and interesting because we typically just see them in an animated form, obviously, just with their voices. So it'll be really cool to see how they do. I mean, especially Kevin Conroy, because we know Mark Hamill can act as Luke Skywalker in front of the camera.
Yeah, he can.
I'm curious to see Kevin Conroy in front of the camera and how he does. I'm sure he'll do great, but I am curious to see how that is.
And you actually met Kevin Conroy. This is just a little aside.
I did,
You
yeah.
met him at a comic convention.
At a Comic-Con, yeah.
And you said he's a wonderful human being, very nice.
He was lovely. I bought a comic, he signed it. It was a great time. I felt like I was 12 years old again. Yeah, it was great. He's a super, super nice guy.
And he is really, like, he is the defining Batman for a lot of people. Like, they grew up with the animated series Batman. And that's kind of what I'm saying here, too, is that with these pull-ins, so with Tom Welling Superman, the possibility of a Mark Hamill Joker, or even just Mark Hamill in a different role, because we know he played the Joker, bringing in Conroy as Batman, well, Bruce Wayne, but, you know, used to be Batman. Mm-hmm. These are the kind of things that kind of show the fans, like, hey, we remember that we made these shows. You remember that we made these shows. We know there's still a market for these characters, and even though we're not making more Batman animated series shows right now, even though there's no Smallville show going on right now, we remember and love these characters, you remember and love these characters. Let's kind of celebrate it together. That's kind of what this seems like to me. The Infinite Earths crossover is, like, it's like a celebration of DC history, at least in TV format.
That's a cool way to look at it. Yeah, and it's a bummer because Arrow is going to be done, I believe, after this season, so they're kind of wrapping that up. And there were parts, I have mentioned this in previous videos that we have done, but I really, really liked seasons 1 and 2 and parts of 3, and then I kind of fell off after that. So a lot of it, honestly, I don't know where it is at this point. I've heard that it's kind of fallen off and had ups and downs, but it's a bummer that that Arrow is going to be done because Stephen Amell's a great Green Arrow.
He is. He's a great Green Arrow. He's a great actor. He seems like a nice person.
Yeah, and it's like what you said. I think it's a really cool callback and kind of a nice way to finish everything out for the Arrow show, but also just a nice way to kind of liven things up in the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
Is bringing in these people that are almost, I would say, definitely nostalgic. And it's kind of like finally we get to see Kevin Conroy play a live action Bruce Wayne. It's something that you didn't even know that you wanted, but it's cool. And now that now that's going to happen, I think there's a lot of buzz and excitement around it.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways this is a bit of a swan song for the Arrowverse. And it's not the ending, really, because there's going to be shows like Batwoman's just starting.
Flash is still going.
Flash is still going strong. Supergirl's still going. I don't know for how long because it's been up and down in terms of ratings. But there's a huge
Legends
market.
of Tomorrow.
Yeah, people love these shows. So far be it from me, even if I don't always like the interpretation they go with or the hardcore political messaging in some of the episodes, especially of Arrow,
big time,
that I think is a little unnecessary. Far be it from me to crap on this continuity because it's really cool how long it's lasted. I think it's dope how they're celebrating the DC continuity. You know, if they can do other stuff like this in the future, like this is something I will be watching. Honestly, as someone who's not following the Arrowverse anymore, I will go in and watch this crossover because this kind of thing, I don't know, gets me excited.
It's almost like we're getting new content from the 90s again, which is cool. It's something that we thought that book was closed, and it's like a weird, random reawakening kind of, where we just get like a blip back into it. And it's live action, so it's different, but I'm definitely excited for it too.
Definitely. And I think it does pull in the people that were even just fans of those original properties, even if you don't love the Arrowverse. Like if you just loved Smallville, and you're like, I wonder what the Smallville Clark Kent's been up to for 10 years. You can go back in, watch this 5-part thing. It's kind of like jumping into a comic in the middle of a series. You can still enjoy it. Yeah, maybe you didn't get all the payoff, but you can enjoy it for what it is and leave and be like, I'm glad I got to see Tom Welling one more time, or I'm glad I got to see Kevin Conroy live action, or Mark Hamill. And I think that's an awesome thing. It's like Christmas for fans of these old shows, and I really think that's the way that you should celebrate and bring in old fan bases with the new ones. It's great to see. It's a positive step, I think.
I completely agree.
Anyway, guys, let us know in the comments down below what you think about the upcoming crossover event for the Arrowverse. Are you excited? Are you going to check this out? Were you a fan of Smallville and this has you interested? Maybe you were a fan of Batman the Animated Series? Let us know in the comments down below what you think. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe for more content just like it, and we'll see you in the future on all the Infinite Earths with all the J's and T's when they cross over on Crisis on Infinite, Degenerate, Low Subcount Earths. We'll see you. Good night. And the co-creator of Arrow, Mark Guggenheim, he actually said that for 8 years, Arrow has... Wow.
Oh, man.
Yikes, that was like a Bill level. You had one of those last week.
You know, you do something wrong and then say, remember when you did that, though? Let's keep that in mind. All right, shut the frick up, all right?
All right, I'm gonna go.
I didn't even say anything.
I'm gonna go back.
Gosh dang it.